How y'all doing? Welcome once again to another Pre-PT Chat Live. I am fighting the flu right now, but it's all good because we got to deliver. We got to make sure y'all are served. Casey, as I share this out to other groups, would you mind letting us know a little bit about what happened last weekend? And I mean, we'll touch on it a little more in this talk, but tell us a little bit about what happened last weekend down in Florida and just a little bit about that, what your take was.
Yeah. We both went last year to this thing called Smart Success PT Live.
Mm-hmm.
And once I finished that, I was like, I don't need to go to any other conferences. I was like, if this is, the gold standard, if this is whatever it is, if this is the bar, I don't need to see anything else. Ended up going to some other places and things like that. And it was no comparison. So going back for the second time, Smart Success PT Live, part 2, 2018, whatever you want to call it. It was just so refreshing, put that fire back in, on clinicals, at work, doing, our daily routine, daily schedule. You can get bogged down. Things can just be a routine, but that just lights a fire in basically 220 plus PTs around the country and even world, actually. So it was just super refreshing to see that. Plus, we, of course, as you guys saw in the pictures, Instagram posts, stories, we had about 7 to 10 pre-PTs at the live event, which was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Which was absolutely amazing. So everything we've been talking about, they could actually make tangible and see for themselves. They can see that we weren't just talking on these pre-PT chats every week, or we weren't just talking in our pre-PT success program.
It became real.
All the stuff, it became real. They hugged those people. They shook their hands. They had conversations with the people who are doing what they want to do, how they want to do it. So it was just, it was amazing. So there's 150 or so tickets already sold for next year. So
it's crazy.
It looked fun to you for any section. If you want to meet us, if you want to meet the other pre-PTs there, I suggest you get on it. I highly suggest it. I don't know if it'll be sold out in 2 weeks. I don't know what they have planned. I don't know what they have booked, if they need another venue. But if you don't want to be left out, if you don't want any more FOMO,
might be the move.
You might want to hop on it because it's the move.
And honestly, okay, so tonight's talk is why who you know matters. And once again, forgive my voice, just fighting the flu and all that stuff. But why who you know matters. Honestly, I'm going back to when I was a freshman. When I was a freshman at Andrews University, I was one of the students that kind of figured out that physical therapy was the route that I wanted to go down pretty early on. And as a freshman, I realized that there was just a lot of other students that were just, struggling through this process. By the time I was a sophomore, several of my friends had already, been told, yo, move to a different career path because this is not meant for you. And it was kind of frustrating to see it because I knew what their passion was. I knew that they wanted to be a physical therapist. I knew that they were locked into what they wanted to do and just how they wanted to serve. But honestly, it was one of those situations where I didn't know what I was necessarily doing at the time. But now looking back, it was probably one of the best moves I made. I found other students that were ahead of me, juniors, seniors, people that had already been accepted into PT school that were local that I, found and said, hey, like, would you mind guiding me through this process, through your stories, through what you went through? And they became my allies. They became the people that I relied on. They became the mentors that I looked up to way before I knew about Smart Success PT and all this other stuff, way before Pre-PT Grind was even made. And because of that, I can honestly say that my path towards getting into physical therapy school was a lot more clear because I learned from all their mistakes. I learned from all their frustrations, but I also knew a lot about, the little tricks and things that they used to just, get to where they were. And so for me already before getting into PT school, it was all about who I knew. So I saw a video that was done by one of our students that was talking about, hey, have you pretty much been, misdirected or frustrated by the guidance that you've received from your administration or your advisors at school and all that stuff? And pretty much that's what was going on. I'm not calling anyone out in specific, but it's just the reality of how this goes. And I'll be honest, the biggest reason why that happens is not necessarily because they have any kind of ill will or they're not trying to take care of students. It's just that the investment is just very different. It's a very different level of investment. When someone has gone through the process, they know what it's like based on the frustration that they went through and also based on who they had to navigate. And so in knowing that, I was like, wow, like everything I want to achieve as a future physical therapist and so on and so forth. And now as a current physical therapist moving forward, it's always been about who I'm connected to. It's always been about who I know. And the beauty of it is the fact that now you guys have access to all that. You have access to it virtually. You have access to it, in real time, face to face, kind of like I did. For me, it was on my campus. People that I found, I sought them out. It wasn't just like they found me and said, hey, Joseph, would you mind us helping you? No, I had to look out for them. I said, hey, like you've actually gotten through this process. You got into PT school, or you're doing pretty well, or you've actually had some frustrations. It's good to get a balance of all of them. But I used them and they actually became mentors for me, friends that I now still value. And so for you, as we start this conversation here tonight, do you feel like you are alone in the process of becoming a physical therapy student? Do you feel, sorry, I'm sick, y'all, but do y'all feel like you're alone in this entire journey? Do you feel like you don't have, people locally, people around you? Or do you feel like you do have those people, but you are just kind of waiting for them to reach out to you? Or better yet, you got to reach out to them, but you haven't done that. And if you do, then this conversation is very important for you to listen to. Because I can honestly tell you that right now, the pre-PTs that showed up here in Clearwater this past weekend realized that the relationships that they had developed with each other virtually actually got solidified in person. If y'all see how they're relating now, how they're talking to each other about each other's frustrations, each other's struggles, a few of them have already got into PT school. Others are 2 years out. Others are applying this cycle. It just changed the game for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they have their mentors like, me, Casey, Greg Todd and all that. But at the same time, they have each other. They have each other because there's nothing better than going through a process, going through a journey, going through a struggle with other people. That's why when you guys go through a hard class or a hard semester, y'all know if you guys were seeking out for each other, you guys actually developed some pretty good relationships during that period. When I finished PT school, I had some really close friends in there simply because we had gone through the ups and downs together. We had gone through the frustrations together, the good times, the bad times. But you want to have those people accessible. You want to have other people because this journey for y'all is not one that you can ride alone. It's not one that you really want to ride alone because there's a lot of people that are going to be able to receive value from you. But there's also a lot of value that you're going to receive from them as well. What's up, Carl? How y'all doing? Casey, what's your thoughts, man?
We should have had Carl, Donette, Sarah, Ben, both Bens do this live.
I know, real talk.
They could probably attest to it better than we could because we went. This is our second time going, but I've said this part what I'm about to say before, but we do have new followers and things like that. But yes, it is about who you know, but it's also about who knows you and who you've proven yourself to as well.
Say that again.
It's about who you know. It's about who knows you. It's about who you've proven yourself to as well. Because you know a lot of people. You know Kim Kardashian. You know LeBron James. You know whatever. But do they know you?
Game one tonight, by the way.
Hey! Right after this, I'm about to get some food and plop on the couch.
Relax. Y'all get my emergency, and then just
have that tissue box next to you.
Yeah, you know it.
But yeah, that just because you know LeBron James don't mean like he knows you even exist.
Exactly.
So let's make this more applicable to you in the classroom. Like, you know your professor. Does your professor know you? Okay, your professor now knows you because you've introduced yourself to them. But have you proven yourself to that professor? Have you gotten good grades, showed up to office hours, behaved in class, whatever it is? And that's what really matters when it comes to, letters of recommendation and getting observation hours per certain places. It's all the same concept. So those are the three things, or those are the things you can add on to this conversation of why who you know matters. Because it's not just who you know, it's the other two things that really make the difference. Because, we know a lot of people, we know a lot of pre-PTs. Like we see your little Facebook bubbles, but only a few do we know on a different level. Then only a few more, or only a smaller group of that has proven themselves to us. So what does that mean coming down the line? If we have any people reaching out to us saying, oh, do you know any pre-PTs who would like to do this, who would like to intern here,
Mercy.
who would like to get
Break it down
into
for him,
this
Casey.
school, who would like this letter of recommendation, who would be a good applicant for our school? Like, bro, we already know who we're going to. So that's why on a deeper level, this whole thing even matters. So
yeah. Who do you know and who knows you? What are some ways? Okay, let's break that down even more. Class. Case just talked about it with your teachers. The one thing that my mother told me, and keep in mind, if my mother says something, I'm noting it. The one thing my mother told me before my freshman year, she was like, Joseph, make sure that every profession that you learn from knows who you are. It's funny, but that's actually taken me pretty far. If I was frustrated in a class, you best believe we developed a good relationship. If I was doing well in the class, we also developed a good relationship. So she was like, make sure they know who you are. It actually became beneficial because imagine in a project when the teacher's trying to figure out, like, was Joseph on his grind or was just slacking off? Like, you're actually more apt to get, some guidance. I'm not even going to call it slack, but some guidance if the teacher knows you've been on your game. And so talk about that. Programs that you're applying to. How do they know you? That's why we talk about making your presence known. When you go to a campus visit, yes, it's about you understanding a lot about what the school has to offer, a lot about what the school is bringing to the table, their culture. I had one of our students hit me up today saying, man, like the campus visit that I went on yesterday was probably one of the best schools I've been to. Yeah, you want to know a lot about them. But when you left, do they know you? Did you develop a few strong relationships in there that you can actually nurture from then on? That actually they become an asset to you when you apply, but at the same time, like, they know who you are. Do they know Joseph? Do they know Casey? If the two of us were applying, that's what we have to ask ourselves, right? And so then also, what are other ways that you can stand out for programs? If you are, we have students that are starting their own blogs. We have students that are, doing videos and they're, talking about what their experiences are. Like, that's a way for you to actually, display yourself and your personality and what your interests are to who you're presenting yourselves to. And that's the programs that you're applying to. So what Casey's saying is 100% correct. It's about who you know, but more importantly, or most importantly, it's who knows you, right? So today, depending on whether you all are watching it now or on a replay, write that down. Make a list of who you know that can be beneficial to you in this application process. In, whether you're 3 years out of applying, whether you're applying this cycle, make a list of who those people are that would be beneficial to you. And then make a list of who are the people that actually know me. And if you don't have a good percentage on there, then you guys have some relationships to develop ASAP. Because this whole thing is not a numbers. Like, applying is not just numbers. Applying is not just, I have, these grades or this or that. Like, it's actually more importantly about the relationships that you develop. It's a human to human interaction when you guys apply. It's a human to human interaction. But if you guys carry that on after you will get into PT school, after you finish PT school, you understand that very thing is actually what makes you into not only a great clinician, but it's also what allows you to develop relationships in the profession that give you everything you need to thrive. Right now, some of my greatest friends in physical therapy, some of Casey's best friends in physical therapy are also pushing themselves, but we're pushing each other. For us, for Casey and myself, it's serving you guys as pre-PTs. For another friend of ours, like Kyle Rice, it might be helping students pass their standardized exams. For, another friend of ours, Will Boyd and Alex Engar, it's to help people, with their social media game and Facebook and, reaching out to people. So helping clinics, like, they're doing different things, but we push each other. So who do you know and who knows you? And if those numbers are not comparable, then you guys have some good relationships to develop. And that shouldn't be too hard because you guys are going to be in a profession where it's all about relationship building. Anywhere you ever work, if you guys are technicians right now, techs, working front desk, or like, you guys know it's the relationship. When a patient buys into you, it's because you've built a relationship with them. You've set the foundation for that. And so ask yourselves that tonight. Who do you know and who knows you? And if you can answer that question well, then more than likely, it's going to show you what you have to work on this summer. I know a lot of y'all are done with classes, or some of y'all might be taking summer classes, but it's going to show you what you have to work on. And if you guys start working on that, ask us questions. Like, reach out to us at contactpreptgrind.com if you guys have any questions. But once you guys answer that, that's going to set you many yards ahead of other people who are struggling with the application process just trying to play this numbers game, because it's not a numbers game. This thing is a lot bigger than that. So who knows you? Who do you know? And who knows you? You're right, Gabby. Network is your net worth. Your value goes up, with the more people that you know that can help you get to where you want to be. Casey, anything else before we finish up?
That's it. Sign up for SSPT Live next year. That's it. That's my parting words for this pre-PT chat.
Let's do it. We have an announcement coming up in a few weeks as well. So be on the lookout for that. Something pretty amazing for all of you guys for next year. But you guys have a great one. Many blessings. Enjoy the game tonight. It's going to be a good one, I'm sure, even though it's the fourth time. My goodness. Y'all have a good one. Deuces.